With me now is Heidi Dening, who is a resilience expert, to talk about the issue of burnout. Heidi, good morning. Thanks for being on the program.
Good morning, Mitchell.
Well, burnout, it's a big problem, but I think down here in Victoria, we're really encountering it now. The first lockdown that we went through, I think people had a lot more positivity. There was a lot more of, trying to learn new languages, etc. Whereas this time around, people are pretty burnt out, whether it's working hard from home or even doing homeschooling.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what surprised many people is that over the years, we've all thought that kind of flexible working and working from home would be a prevention to burnout. But when you're under the circumstances, especially Victorians right now, where this whole second level of lockdown, having to go back to the homeschooling, like you said, continuing to try to work from home with all the distractions that go on, people are really struggling.
So what advice do you give to people about identifying the signs of burnout early? Because I think for a lot of people, they're burnt out, but it's too late. They realize they're burnt out, but by then you can't do much about it.
Yeah, and this is a whole thing. When we are in a society, which we are now, with so many more stresses on us, we know that a little bit of stress is okay. It can challenge us, it can motivate us, it can help us to meet deadlines. But it is knowing those warning signs that our body and our brain send to us to let us know that, okay, this stress is now tipping over and we are spiraling into that point, which is often hard to come back from, which is called burnout. And some of the symptoms to look for that our body and brain does send to us, firstly, is that our care factor reduces. We're not so excited about work projects or podcasts that we might listen to all the time, or even series on Netflix or social events with people. We just don't care so much. Another one that's really a lot of people are suffering from, I know right now, is that they're really struggling to fall asleep and stay asleep. Staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering what the next day, week, month, year is going to look like for them. Our brain function starts to reduce. We lose concentration. We can't focus as well. We make silly decisions, silly mistakes, poor decisions. We have physical impacts. We'll get a cold sore. That's a sure sign that things are not right. Our immune system isn't as strong. We get aches and pains, headaches, tummy troubles. And of course, our mental health can be impacted as well. We get teary and cranky, anxious, and depression can set in. So these are some of the warning signs that we just, as individuals, they'll all be different for all of us. But being aware of what our ones are is really important so we can intervene before we get down to that point of burnout.
So when you do start to feel those early warning signs, what does that intervention look like?
Well, it is different for everybody, but some of the things that I talk to people about is when you are starting to feel like things are getting a little out of control. It's about putting things back in your life that you have a little bit of control over. So it's that whole self-care point, of course, that try to get out in nature, feel the sun on your back or feel the wind if it's not a sunny place. Just being surrounded by nature can have a big impact on our coping abilities. Connect with people who matter, family and friends who you admire, colleagues that you admire. You can't be who you can't see. So find those people that are really going to make a positive difference to your life. Move your body, get some exercise, even if it's just, another walk with the dog around the block, or it could just be some yoga in your lounge room if you are stuck at home. But move the body, nourish the body with good food, try to get that sleep, because sleep can make such a difference. And the last one that I'd always say is to try to put some joy back into your life, because we're being sucked from many things that we usually, I feel very passionate about, it fill us up and make us feel great. So what is something that can put a smile on your face and bring some joy back?
I think a lot of those points are good when you compare them to what we're going through at the moment with lockdown, because maybe people aren't going out and about as much. And if you do go out here in Victoria, you've got to wear a face mask. In Melbourne, you can't go more than 5 kilometres away from your home, and there's all curfews, that sort of thing. So a lot of those activities that we perhaps would be doing are inhibited, and maybe we're starting to feel a bit down, but we don't realise why. And it's because we're not engaging in those activities, or we're just stuck at home more.
Without doubt. And that this is the thing, like, perfection is a fairy tale. It doesn't have to be what it used to be. If you are somebody who likes to go for the big hour power walk amongst it all, it cannot be like that right now in Victoria, but you can walk around the block. So this is really important, not to worry about, well, I can't do it the way I used to do it, because what you need to do is do what's right. That's going to actually be good for you right now. And that will be very different, but it's still very important.
And I was talking to someone on the phone about this last night, about how I think we're creatures of habit. We have a routine. Once that gets disrupted, like it has done with lockdown, we feel a bit uneasy, but hopefully we'll start to get into this new rhythm and new groove and get used to it.
Well, one side of me thinks I hope we don't have to, because things will change in a positive way, that we don't have to get used to this new groove. But it may just be that way, Mitchell. And if our old routines can't work in the way we've got life right now, then we need to find a new routine, because it is those routines that can help just put some structure in our day. And that feeling of control with having some kind of structure can make such a difference.
And I think the point that you made about loss of sleep is a really good one as well, because there's perhaps a tendency for people to be thinking about, are we going to be in this lockdown for the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks? Yeah. No one knows. No one can answer that question. So maybe it's best not to think too far ahead.
Yeah, but it is hard. And this is the thing with sleep. When you wake up and you're staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. worrying about those things you've just described, then you wake up sleep deprived. It's very difficult then to cope as well with the stressors that come that day, because when we are sleep deprived, we don't cope as well. We don't manage as well. We don't make as good a decisions. We're not as creative. We can't adapt to this new world as well. So that's why sleep, nearly is the foundation of what we need to be able to prevent spiraling into burnout.
So in terms of burnout, and once you're there, how do you recover from that state? Because someone described it to me once as, it's not that you can't do what you want to do. You know how to do it. It's just that you somehow can't make yourself do it.
Correct. I like to describe it like sitting on a really dried up lake, where it feels like there's no sign of vegetation or life in sight, and you just cannot muster up the energy to do what you need to do. And that is why professional help is absolutely crucial when you've got down to that point. Yeah, if you're feeling a bit stressed out, which everyone is right now, we can kind of do those self-care things and try to put things in place, intervene on ourselves. But if you've hit that point of burnout where you just can't find the way, you must get professional help.
What would be the best place to go for that sort of professional help?
I think you've just got to start with your good trusted GP, because they are the best ones to then navigate where you need to go next. They're the ones that will know. So, yeah. Without doubt.
Heidi, thank you very much for your time this morning. Very informative, and hopefully people don't get too burnt out, or if they do, they go and get that help.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Resilience expert Heidi Dening joining us on the program this morning.
Mitchell's Front Page with Mitchell Dening. Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 till 11 on 94.7 The Pulse.